really is going on in West Bengal and what that means. There's an Aadhaar card issue that's brewing as well. The SP and the Congress have announced that there will be an alliance, and we'll talk about that and we'll figure out how important that is for the upcoming election. And we'll also talk about Kamal Nath and the sort of scare he gave the Congress, and if the Congress should be scared, and what it would really mean if Kamal Nath is now in the BJP. Now, we're going to have all of these conversations with Aditya Menon of the Quint, as we have been doing week on week. But this week, we also have Shikha Mukherjee joining us. She's a very senior journalist who understands West Bengal really well. And so that's an important voice. And we also have Ishadritha Lahiri, who's a freelance journalist who tracks West Bengal as well, because West Bengal really popping up with the news a lot this week. I welcome all of you to this conversation, to our audience that's trickling in on the Quint Facebook, the Quint YouTube page, and the Beatroot YouTube page. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be doing this week on week until the elections themselves. Feel free to ask questions about your and share your observations about what's going on as well. First up, Aditya, a question for you in West Bengal. Really, I mean, personally, for me, the Sandesh Khali situation seems like Mamata Banerjee should have gotten a handle on it better. Do you think it's been badly handled?
I think so. I think they firstly they delayed in their response, and when they did, it was not probably the most a response with a great deal of conviction.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the political flag that the Mamata Banerjee government is getting is sort of understandable, and it's only to be expected, especially in the run up to elections. It's known that the BJP has always been an aggressive opposition in West Bengal, and the women vote has been crucial to Mamata Banerjee's victory in the assembly elections. So obviously, she will be held to account on this issue.
Yeah. And it does seem like she's still taking time to get on top of it. Shikha Mukherjee, the last time you and I spoke, were after an election where we saw a lot of violence. Again, the BJP was accusing the TMC of basically being undemocratic during an election. We talked about how violence in politics has been a sort of signature in West Bengal for a very long time. But this, what we are seeing right now out of the TMC in West Bengal is, I want to know what your response is to it and Mamata Banerjee's handling of it.
Well, I think we need to actually set up a list of facts on what is actually the ground reality, as it were.
Yes.
Because my understanding is that over the last several weeks, what we are getting is a lot of noise, a lot of political noise, a lot of perceptions that are emerging out of that noise. And the facts are somehow or the other not quite important in that situation. And let me put it to you like this. Violence in Bengal is endemic. If I were theoretical, I would explain it differently. But let me also say that the violence violence is part of Indian politics. Accusations of skullduggery in the elections process, in subverting the democratic process, is something that even the Supreme Court is now talking about, vis-a-vis the Chandigarh mayor election. Therefore, the subversion of democracy by by corruption of the election process is not something that I think we need to be even. At one level, we need to talk about it, but at another level, it's almost been normalized. And that is the danger, that is the tragedy, that is a terrible situation, but that has to be dealt with differently, not in the context of Sandesh Khali. So what is Sandesh Khali? Sandesh Khali is a Trinamool stronghold. If you look at Sandesh Khali itself and the Lok Sabha constituency, 7 segments, Trinamool is in total control in that area. Here is this man who was being pursued by the ED, and the ED went to his house and he was not there. There was a there was a there was a there was a confrontation. There was some violence, and then the things began to get
Um,
more and more heated. Now, in that heating up process, there were charges that emerged. It's a good thing that these charges emerged, that women were being sexually harassed. And the allegation is gang rape. Now, on this gang rape thing, two of this Shah Jahan Sheikh's um, henchmen have been
yes.
arrested and they are behind bars. So, gang rape is, at least for the moment, it seems that some action has been taken on the gang rape um, charge, and that's a good thing, because you don't want to have gang rapists running around amok
Mm.
within the population. Then comes this whole thing about land grab. Now that is entirely possible. The ways in which this land grab has happened needs to be investigated, and the facts need to come out, because land grab is something that is happening across the country. West Bengal, yes. In West Bengal, there is a pushback, and a pushback that actually brought down a government. So I think that land grab in West Bengal is a very sensitive issue, and it's a
Mm.
good that this issue has come out in the open, and it has created enough pressure on Mamata Banerjee for her to declare that if anything of the sort has happened, it will be
Yeah.
returned. So these are where things are. So at one level, you find that there is a some attempt at um, holding people to account, some sense of some responsibility somewhere. On the other hand, you have this relentless um, political narrative that is being constructed that things are bad. Fine, things are bad. Things have gone wrong. Things need to get better. But at the same time, one is concerned about the fact that these women, their harassment is not really a major cause of concern. Their trauma is not really a major cause of concern. What is happening is the construction of a narrative
Mm.
of the Trinamool being the oppressor. Yes, as the ruling party, it is in a position of power. It does misuse its power.
Okay,
So does
let me
so
just
so
bring in.
so does this bulldozer politics that is going on across the country misuse power. So I'm not understanding why this Shandish Khali has become the big national news.
Could it be because the main accused is a member of the TMC?
I mean, yeah, innumerable instances of bulldozers being led and used by members of ruling parties. I don't think that makes any difference. Not in this
Okay.
country where things have gone haywire. Let me tell you, my honest opinion is that the the class which the elites which are now in power have gone
Mm.
berserk. Whether it's in West Bengal, or whether it's in Rajasthan, or it's in UP, or wherever across the country, they're completely they've lost their they
Okay,
lost their.
let me bring in the other two voices as well. Ishadisha, do you agree that the actual pain of the women, in Sandesh Khali is being ignored for the political noise around it? Uh, what have you picked up from the ground as to what is actually happening in Sandesh Khali? Are these women getting the platform they deserve? Are they getting justice they deserve?
Well, Faye, I think firstly we need to look at this issue in two strands, firstly. So first is what has happened with the women. And the
Yeah.
second is the politics, which is the BJP also trying to give this a communal angle of sorts. In one way, saying that because Sheikh Shah Jahan, of course, is Muslim, they have turned it to the fact that Mamta Banerjee is in some way appeasing the community. Mamta Banerjee is going to let people of one community, do something else to the Hindus. So that is the angle that the BJP has taken. And that is a problem, because from what I've heard of people who have physically gone to Sandesh Khali, and there are lots of reporters who have actually gone there who have spoken to, they say that because of these angles, because of the politics around it, initially in the first 2-3 days after this news broke, women were very, very apprehensive about not just coming on camera, but they wouldn't even be okay talking off record. And also at this stage, it's important to highlight the questions the media was also asking, right? So there was this kind of invasiveness. Okay, you were harassed. What exactly happened? Questions like that. So because of the politics around it, these same women who had protested did not want to come out. Now, the first voices of women that we are hearing was probably yesterday and today, where we had, Bengali news channels like ABP Anando bring out some of these voices. On the other hand, you have the Trinamool Congress saying that we sent a team there, but we have not had any complaints, reported to us. So the politics around it is completely marring the fact that we need to actually investigate what happened with the women, and what I understand that they could come out now because Sheikh Shah Jahan is absconding, but women wouldn't be coming out on the streets and saying this if there wasn't a real issue. So that investigation is not happening right now. It's just that we're talking a lot about the politics, and it's also because of the communal color that it has, that has been given to this by the BJP. But there's very little being spoken about how we are going to address or even the extent of what happened to these women.
So, and I do want to ask you this now. Obviously, it is turned into a massive political storm, but these women are now talking on camera, and the sense one gets from listening to their stories is that until the ED came in and caused this oppressor to run away, he was running some sort of fiefdom in which, was almost feudal and medieval in the way he was treating the people of his village.
And Faye, I'd like to point out here, because I've covered Bengal for a while, this is something that the Trinamool has to deal with across the state. So, for example, if you've heard about Anubroto Mandor, who is also now in jail, he had his fiefdom in Birbhum. So there are a lot of these district level leaders, local leaders, who have over the years created their own fiefdom, and you cannot do anything without their consent and their permission. So if you go across Bengal, you'll hear people saying, Trinamool lok amader bari banate daini, or stuff like that. You have to take permission if you want to construct a floor in your existing house. So this is something which the BJP, in fact, tried to target the Trinamool with in the 2021 state elections, where it tried to make cut money a very important political issue, a polling issue, which is basically, Trinamool people taking a certain commission to get work done, any kind of work done. So this is something that has plagued the Trinamool Congress government. And for example, in 2021, they tried to trump it with governance. They had their Duare Sarkar scheme coming in. They tried to cut down on cut money and rein in people in the last few months before the elections. But this is something, especially ahead of the 2024 elections, this time it is not going to be, Modi versus Dilip Ghosh, or Mamta versus Dilip Ghosh or Shukanto Majumdar. It's going to be Mamta versus Modi. And we saw how people voted in the last Lok Sabha election. So these issues, because they are in a way endemic to the Trinamool Congress, this is not the first time people are hearing of something like this, or something like this has happened, which is why it can really, at least in terms of perception, really harm the Trinamool ahead of the Lok Sabha elections.
Yes, and Mamta Banerjee has always built herself as a pro-woman leader, because she's a woman herself. And this came out around the same time that she announced her Rajya Sabha candidates, where 3 out of 4 were women. So does this hurt that image as well? Aditya Menon, is Mamta Banerjee in a spot of trouble here?
I think so, because if we remember in the before the last Lok Sabha election, we had a pretty high degree of violence in the panchayat elections that took place a little before the Lok Sabha elections, and that did harm the Trinamool Congress, because the entire anti-Trinamool vote, they probably decided to strategically vote for the BJP, and the BJP did end up winning more seats than what was being anticipated. So
Mm.
this, at least the BJP is hoping this is the same moment that happened last time. Obviously, of course, there are even more grand claims being made by the BJP that this is Mamta's Nandigram moment or Mamta's Singur moment. Maybe they're probably jumping the gun here, because this, I don't think these protests can still be compared to what happened back then. But definitely there is some damage control that Mamata Banerjee will have to do before the Lok Sabha elections.
Well, there's also the question of, Aadhaar cards, which Mamata Banerjee has accused the central government of randomly cancelling a large number of Aadhaar cards of people of West Bengal. She's written, a letter to the Prime Minister about it, and then she has said that, Bengal will continue to give out whatever distribution has to happen, even if someone does not have an Aadhaar card. Where is this coming from? Sharda, can you give us a perspective on the Aadhaar card issue in Bengal?
Well, I think if you go back to how Mamata Banerjee handled the whole CAA NRC protest, and that was something that she had condemned at the time when when this was announced. And for Mamata Banerjee, there's also this Rajbongshi Matua vote bank that she has to consolidate, and also her Muslim vote bank, which she has to consolidate. So that was one of the reasons why she had come out against these laws then. And what the angle that she's trying to take now is also that the BJP is trying to disenfranchise and take away citizenship from a certain section of people, and that for her, especially ahead of 2024, is a big election, because as I said, it's going to be her against Prime Minister Modi. So it's just bringing back that entire narrative again, and that is something that will help Mamata consolidate these vote banks, which are very crucial in West Bengal.
Chika Mukherjee, the idea of Mamata Banerjee, contesting on her own and not with the Congress. What is your response? Like, what is your reaction to that? Was that eventually going to happen?
It would not be in Mamata Banerjee's interest if it were to happen. Let me be very clear, because at this point in time, if you look at the way in which the vote shares are sort of stacked, then you find that she desperately needs the anti-Mamata vote to get distributed. She cannot afford to have it consolidated in one opposition party. So a vigorous Congress campaign, or a Congress CPM campaign where there has been a seat sharing arrangement or whatever, is incredibly important for her, because then the anti-Mamata vote gets split into two opposition camps. Even if the Congress CPM's ability to attract votes is diminished, and it is very seriously diminished at this point, it's somewhere hovering around 10%. Even that, if a bulk of that goes to the BJP, then Mamata is in deep trouble. If you look at the 2019 vote share perspective, where it was 41, 43, 44% distribution. Therefore, it is incredibly important for her that the Congress and the CPM should maybe enter into an alliance, fight hard, and keep the anti-Mamata vote divided.
Aditya, interesting.
Which is why, if you realize that she has been actually torpedoing the Congress Trinamool discussions. She and Aditya Chaudhary on his part, both of them.
I think interestingly, SP has announced an alliance with the Congress, but technically what Shikha Mukherjee is saying could be true of all of the India non-Congress alliance partners, right?
So, I mean, it's a little different in all the cases because SP and Congress have a lot of common votes, and both of them are seeking to occupy the anti-BJP space in Uttar Pradesh. So, in that sense, if they don't ally, it's going to harm both the parties. Having an alliance does make it more sensible that way. I think Bengal's case is a little more comparable to Punjab, where
Kerala, actually.
Kerala
Aditya,
and
Kerala.
Punjab, where the Congress is the main opposition party, and there's a regional party in power in both states. So, therefore, I think if the Congress allies with the AAP in Punjab or with the left in Kerala, it opens up the opposition space for the BJP. I think the same thing can be argued in West Bengal. I mean, I would slightly differ from what Shikha ma'am was saying, that left definitely makes no sense for TMC to align with the left. Congress, if you look at a seat like Malda Uttar, which Gagan Murmu won last time, and it was two people from the Ghani Khan Chaudhary family contested against each other. We had Mausam Noor from a TMC ticket and Isha Khan Chaudhary from a Congress ticket. So obviously they must have harmed each other, and the BJP won that seat. So maybe a more nuanced deal between Congress and TMC would have benefited. But left, obviously, no question. Left and BJP both fight for the anti-TMC space.
If I may come in on this,
Please.
fight sort of bargaining over one seat doesn't work for Mamata Banerjee. She's up against a big challenge. The challenge is that in 2019, BJP won 18 seats when it was a head-to-head confrontation between Mamata and Modi. In 2021, if you remember, Modi made some 18 visits to West Bengal, campaigning extensively. And then, whatever happened. But if you remember, he actually took on Mamata head on.
Yes.
Including that famous cat call.
Yeah.
Didi, oh Didi. So he went to the extent of getting into catcalling the leader of the party and his principal rival in the state. So if you look at it that way, one seat is not something that Mamata is going to worry too much about. What she needs is to get that 18, the BJP's 18 seats down. And that's what she's working on. The Sandesh Khali is what makes it a very tough task. And why? I'm sorry if I'm hogging time. You can tell me to shut up.
This is a free conversation. It's just the idea is just
very quickly. I'll just give my little take on it. Why is Sandesh Khali so politically sensitive for Mamata? Look at the issues. Women, no. If you remember her slogan in 2011, it was Ma, Mati, Manush. Ma as in women, Mati as in land, and Manush as in people. Here is Sandesh Khali, which is set up to check all those boxes. Ma, Mati, and Manush. So that is why if she does not contain Sandesh Khali, if she doesn't figure out a way to offset the damage that has already been done and take it to a different level, merely banking on this targeting of the Muslim, because the BJP randomly chucks around the word jihad and jihadi, attaches a label anybody who has a Muslim name. The Khalistani issue, everything. She has to now move into a strategic damage control exercise because she cannot allow this Mati Manush issue to spin out of control for her.
Same question to Ishadita. Do you also believe that this Sandesh Kali could torpedo Mamata Banerjee in this election?
Well, yes, I think perception-wise, yes, because as I said, the issue that is really happening, which is a Trinamool leader having his own fiefdom and doing whatever he wants in a certain area. That's something that the Trinamool has been accused of a lot. And in the 2021 election, Mamata Banerjee tried to give that. Tried to tide over that with her governance, and she tried to give out that message that this is not going to happen anymore. But because the issue is of this nature, and it's something that people already associate with the Trinamool, it will show that it has not much has happened. But I mean, again, I don't know, as Shikha ma'am was saying, we shouldn't also be reading too much into how much of an effect that this will have electorally, because if we are talking about the 2019 elections, we see that the BJP has mostly made gains in North Bengal and in the Jongol Mohol tribal area. And these are exactly and Jongol Mahal especially, the Trinamool won back in the 2021 state elections. These are tribal areas. I'm not sure how much this issue of communalism that the BJP is trying to turn this into is going to work in these areas. But yes, issues of women and women's safety, and again, the issue of Trinamool leaders on the ground doing what they do, that is going to resonate across the state. So Mamata Banerjee, as Shikha ma'am said, like, there needs to be a lot of perception building that needs to happen from here, and it needs to be seen as something she has done something. And especially with this whole Khalistani angle that came in yesterday, the BJP has said that Mamata Banerjee is trying to divert from the issue, trying to divert from the fact that this has happened to women there. And it's not about supporting the BJP or not, but that is to an extent true. I mean, the way, from yesterday, this Sandesh Khale issue has turned into an issue of the BJP using communal slurs against a Sikh policeman. So Mamata really, at this point, has to make sure that this image of Trinamool leaders being allowed to do whatever they want, that is what's going to hurt her, and that is something that she needs to necessarily change in the run-up to the elections.
Shikha Mukherjee, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think this is pretty much what I said, which is that she needs to go into damage control mode now.
Mm-hmm.
And she needs to take control of the narrative, which is now spinning out of her hands. The Khalistani issue, actually, I think, is not so much directed. It is just a way of projecting the BJP as communal. It has nothing. It's not really a diversionary tactic. In fact, it helps her friend up in many ways. It helps the farmers' movement. And if you notice, she's actually linked it to the farmers' protests, saying that this is the BJP's classic attitude towards anyone who's from the Punjab, which is that if they are Sikhs, then they are Khalistanis. So she's trying to construct she is trying to create an image of the BJP which suggests that it is by intention and by its politics, it is communal, it is divisive, etc. The issue that I think we need to really focus on is that how much will this Ma Mati Manush and her vow that everything will change, poriborton, how much is it going to be evaluated by the voter in this election in 2024? It's not too far away. And very quickly, I'd like to go over a couple of things. One is that she has picked on Aadhaar and said, I am creating a separate way of accessing the benefits that come linked with Aadhaar. The problem is that she can't do it with the banks, but whatever it is, she's making a show of it. One. Again, this is to corner the BJP. The second thing that she's doing is is cornering the government on Narega. Now, if you look at the kind of data that we have across the country, and certainly that is West Bengal is a part of that data, then you have a look. Then Narega is critical to the way in which the population is dependent on the rural economy for its just basic survival. And therefore, these are the issues on which, when she raises it, it creates a resonance. Plus, what she has done is she has increased uh, the value of her flagship Lokkir Bhandar, which is that the subvention that she gave to all women. So it's not that she hasn't done some of the background work, but in the context of Sandesh Khali suddenly blowing up in her face, she needs to take it to a completely different level. Faye, your mic.
Sorry. Aditya, interestingly for me, if we look now at the national picture, and for our audience watching, we're putting up a breakdown on Sandesh Khali separately as an issue as well. But if we look at nationally now, the regional stronghold parties, Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray, both losing ground in their respective parties, now are saying they're going to look at Supreme Court, which leaves Maharashtra in disarray, because citizens who are voting will not even know who they're voting for anymore, because what is NCP, what is Shiv Sena anymore? So there's a lot of, they're having to put their own houses in order, or save their own houses more likely. Mamata Banerjee now has Sandesh Khali that she needs to, both of our other panelists said, she's going to have to pay a lot of attention to. So she's going to take her eye off the ball. Nitish Kumar has switched sides. Kamal Nath giving the Congress, sort of sleepless nights over Madhya Pradesh as well. So in every state, there is a fire that is needed to be put out at this point. So nobody really has the mind space for that national, sort of coming together. The India Alliance is looking more and more in trouble with every week.
Absolutely. But to be fair, the India Alliance got two pieces of good news this week, both of them courtesy the Supreme Court. The first was on the electoral bonds issue, and the second was on the Chandigarh mayor election. I think the Chandigarh mayor election, and now with the Aam Aadmi Party nominee becoming the mayor, it sort of clears the roads for the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress to finalize their seat sharing in Delhi. And Kejriwal also said that not having an alliance in Punjab is not a sign of any discord. It's a mutually agreed upon decision between the two parties. So things seem to be shaping up well between the AAP and the Congress. And now we have the alliance between the Samajwadi Party and the Congress as well in Uttar Pradesh. Congress has settled for 17 seats out of 80. And the Samajwadi Party will contest a little above 60 seats. So at least those two states seem to be getting some kind of stability for the India Alliance. I actually wanted to come back to the Khalistani issue because since I cover Punjab quite extensively, the kind of I think the BJP's relationship with the Sikh community hit an absolute low with this allegation. And the allegation isn't against any random worker of the party. It's the leader of opposition in Bengal who has been accused of calling a police officer as Khalistani. This is a very, very serious thing, and it has deeply hurt the Sikh community in Punjab. We have the Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee issuing statements. In the middle of alliance talks between Akali Dal and the BJP, Harsimrat Badal, Vikram Majithia, all have put out statements condemning what has happened. And of course, now with a young 21-year-old protester dying at the Punjab-Haryana border during the farmers' protest, this is again, it's really going down a very, 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 very difficult path right now, and this is only going to escalate. And the alienation of the Sikh community with the BJP is really going in a completely new direction after these couple of incidents.
In fact, I also want to ask you all about the farmer protest. Now, the last time we saw this happen, there was a scramble for the BJP because there was an Uttar Pradesh election right around the corner. This time, does the central government seem calmer about this farmer protest? Or we've seen 4 rounds of talks that haven't worked so far. Is this likely to escalate, play a lot more into the narrative of the of the election? We haven't seen the Congress sort of pick it up very strongly. Aditya?
Not yet. Yeah, the Congress hasn't picked it up as strongly. It could be a tactical decision also to let the farmers' protest seem as if it's an independent protest, which it actually is. So that might be the reason. But this, I don't see a deal. I think the best chance for a deal was last Sunday that has gone by. In which there was a 5-year contract for a select number of crops getting MSP through government backed companies, but that proposal was rejected and deemed as insufficient by the farmers. So now the agitation is only going to intensify. As of now, not all unions are participating, but we have the statement of the biggest union of Punjab, led by Joginder Singh Ugraha, that they also might consider now joining the protest full time. We have the Haryana BKU leader Chaduni also saying the same thing. So more unions could join in. There were some very dramatic visuals last night of farmers bringing JCBs and bulldozers to sort of uproot the barricades on the Haryana side. Haryana police has made a bunch of allegations against the farmers, saying that they are burning red chilies along with straw as a counter to the tear gas that the police is giving. So this is likely to escalate now in the next few days.
Also, Shikha Mukherjee, the idea, and this is sort of like taken up a lot on social media at this point, of the police using tear gas, and also the allegation of the police using pellet guns against protesting farmers. Do you think that this, this is going to solicit a larger reaction from the general population?
See, I don't know about the general population, but yes, the rural population, which is engaged with this, which is engaged on these farmers' issues, is certainly going to take it very negatively. And if you notice, Aditya, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Tikayat has also upped his game on this one.
Yeah. He was
Last
not
couple
involved
of
in the
days.
beginning, getting involved now. Yes.
Sorry?
He didn't seem involved in the beginning. He seems to
No,
be
but
getting.
yeah,
now.
he's given a deadline. He said that there is I think next week he's going to the decision will be taken to participate in the farmers' agitation. Now, if one looks at it, and this is something which is very interesting, why did the farmers' agitation not have an impact on the UP election, especially in Western UP? If you think about the way in which Western UP voted, then it should have been, and there should have been an impact, because Tikayat was one of the one of the most prominent faces and prominent voices of the last round of farmers' protests. So that is something that we will have to, the people who academically study the way in which India protests and the impact on elections, they will have to look at it. But I did talk to some of these farm protest leaders, and the point that they are making is the realization takes time to sink in.
Yeah.
And that, I think, if you look at the fact that the original farmers protest happened 2 years ago, it's come back again. And this is 2024. Will realization hit this time? And if I look at the fact that the government of the day made a commitment 2 years ago that they would discuss MSP, then they set up a committee, which the farm leaders said was completely meaningless, because it had everybody. It was a rigged committee. It was already weighted in favor of not granting the MSP. And then you have this revival of discussion on MSP. Their protest is on MSP. They have an offer which was bound to fail because the farmers were not going to accept this this kind of uh, a deal with so many conditions on it. And if you look at it, that maybe this realization point, which the farm leaders were talking to me about 2 years ago, is about to arrive. If that realization arrives, then the election becomes very, very interesting, especially in Madhya Pradesh, in UP, in Haryana, in Punjab. Because
Right.
Madhya Pradesh is actually a big, big commercially producing agricultural area.
Right. So, one more thing I want to bring up before we run out of time. Ishadisha, do feel free to chime in whenever you want to. Do you have something to add?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
there's a question that I wanted to actually ask all three of you, and it's based on what Shikha ma'am just said. Do you think that the reason the BJP is handling the farm protests like it is right now is because it did not see much of an electoral dent to it when it happened last time around? So, for example, UP voted the way it did, and you think it comes from that kind of confidence that last time it didn't harm us, so I don't think in 2024 when it's Prime Minister Modi on the ballot it will affect us. Do you think that's why they're treating the protests like this? Any Aditya?
Aditya, but interestingly, just to add to that question, the way they're treating the protest seems to have changed though in the last 1 week. Initially, there was a little bit of nonchalant sort of behavior, but now there appears to be a little more. The police have also gotten a little more active. The talks are happening more frequently. Aditya.
Yes, I kind of agree with what Ishadita is saying. They have probably factored in that if it didn't harm them at the Vidhan Sabha level in UP, it won't harm them at the Lok Sabha level. Also, I think they feel that the impact, it's being currently the impact is in a community that is against them anyway, which is the Sikh peasants of Punjab. So that is probably their calculation, and also there is also, I mean, there could, I mean, once they also may try, as we are seeing, to sort of present elements within the protest as being anti-national and the usual script that is often followed. Having said that, they did get Jain Chaudhary on their side, and they didn't need to. They had won the seats that were there in Jain Chaudhary's area anyway. And if they were confident enough winning those seats again, I don't know why because all said and done, even if Jain gets 3 seats or 2 seats, those seats would be seats where currently there are BJP MPs. So they
Also,
are
the
a
Bharat
probably,
Ratna. I think that
yeah.
Bharat Ratna
So
to
they did
Chaudhary Charan
take,
Singh.
so they did probably anticipate that that they need to make these gestures toward the Jat farmers of West UP in order to contain damage. I think one state which doesn't figure enough in discussions, but where we actually might see a sort of battleground taking place, is Haryana, uh, where the Huddas are still hold a great deal of influence among the Jats. And last time Haryana did get quite involved in the farmers' protest. BJP did suffer some reverses in some of the civic elections that took place after that. The
Yeah.
JJP was pushed to a corner. So we don't know what's happening there. It is possible that the BJP could face reverses in some pockets, restricted ones, but some pockets.
I also want to ask you, actually, anyone who wants to answer this question, does anybody know what Kamal Nath is up to?
I think Ishadrita is the Congress.
Only Kamal Nath ever knows what he's up to. I read a very funny joke about this, which is that Kamal Nath sent in his resignation before receiving his offer letter. So I think something like that is what has happened. The Congress did try to keep him in his folds, just for no other reason but because of the fact that optically it would not be good for them. But I'm not sure, and Aditya, please weigh in on this. I'm not sure how much of an electoral loss Kamal Nath can cause for the Congress in Madhya Pradesh, given that he's not like a big statewide leader. He has his pocket of influence in Chhindwara. But again, I don't think from the Congress perspective, electorally, they would be thinking about it much. But it's just that, these spate of leaders who are leaving one after the other, it just does not look good. Again,
I want to ask, what is stopping the Congress from, firing him?
No, but why would they want to take that upon themselves? Because firing him, you would need to give a reason for why you're firing him, right? And why would the Congress want to optically do that and say, okay, we had installed this guy as our party president in Madhya Pradesh, and he did not work for us, and he was helping the BJP. So, I mean, for the Congress, it would just, they'd just be digging their own grave if they say stuff like that, right? Because Kamal Nath is someone who was sent with that mandate. And the Congress also allowed him, even though, he didn't take, from what I know, he didn't take AICC's permission, but the Congress also allowed him to be the face of the campaign, right? So after doing all of that, you can't turn around and say, okay, I'm firing this guy now because he hasn't, he was working against us.
Because effectively, it chose him over Jyotiraditya Scindia, and they lost Scindia to the BJP. But also, I mean, there was an accusation after the last election that Kamal Nath actually was helping the BJP instead of working for the Congress. That started to come up as well, Ishanita.
What I heard from a lot of Congress insiders who were working in Madhya Pradesh is that Kamal Nath was completely insulated from suggestions that were coming in from Delhi. And he, again, which is a typical Congress problem, he had his own coterie, and they were the only people who were relaying information to him, and they were the only people he was ready to believe in terms of campaign, in terms of everything. So that was during the election period, that was sort of a red flag, but that people assume, Kamal Nath being an older leader, he is not open to someone like a Randeep Surjewala coming and bossing him over. But the other thing, which is when I started Congress people saying that he might be helping the BJP, is most of them said that Kamal Nath was not spending much on the election. And that towards the second half of the campaign, the Congress campaign, really in terms of steam, it really ran down in terms of steam. So there is, and these things, unless and until you physically see Kamal Nath having a chat with the BJP, it'll always be in the realm of rumors and speculation. But that really is what, that is a red flag that came up. And then later in inquiries, there were, the feedback that, say, Surjewala and other people gave to the Congress High Command was that Kamal Nath was absolutely unwilling to listen to any sort of strategy that was presented to him, or any sort of campaign idea that was presented to him.
Anybody else want to chime in on Kamal Nath? Shikha Mukherjee?
I think Kamal Nath is a spent force. He knows it. The Congress knows it. The only thing is that this is his kind of, last curtain call kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting though. It kept everybody guessing over the weekend. I think the most fun part for me was to read all the Kamal Nath puns that the television channels were using.
The memes were the best, I think. Though.
Yeah, the memes were the best.
So many memes.
And the fun part was everybody just assuming how Jyotiraditya was feeling on that day, that he's going to have to share space again, with Kamal Nath, just at a time when he was seeming like he would get his due after the next election. We've run out of time. I want to thank our audience for tuning in and thank our guests for joining us as well. Aditya, Menon, we'll see you in a week's time, unless something really drastic happens before then. And going by how these elections are panning out, that's very likely to happen. Ishanita and Shikha Mukherjee, I hope we have more chances to talk, over the next few months, because West Bengal is going to continue to be interesting. The Congress is going to continue to be interesting, and y'all are your specific focus will always be welcome on this show. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's look forward to another very interesting week in Indian politics. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.